So this is Az here from Go Again Gaming. As you can see on the screen here, we got Arakni versus Olympia today. And I'm just going to be commentating on the game to a certain degree. More of like a play-by-play, chilled out sort of situation. Nothing too serious. This is BLITZ, and I don't think BLITZ is represented enough. So here we are. You can join the Discord, as you can see in the bottom right corner. The link is in the description box below, if you want to get involved with these games. And we're coming in with a scale peeler. Carlos starting off with a attack for 1. But when this hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more equipment, their equipment have -1 while defending. So pretty good for getting around the armour or fridge of warriors. That is simply being blocked out by a goblet of blood-run wine. And then Carlos is pitching a death touch to come in with a scale peeler, which is a 1 attack. And again, if it hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more reaction cards, those cards have -1, but it's simply being blocked out again by a cash-in. And then Carlos is following on with an infiltrate, which will have Go Again as a result of Arakni's ability here. The first attack with stealth, each turn gaining Go Again, with infiltrate coming in for a 0-cost card, with stealth attacking for 3. And if it hits, they can banish the top card of Olympia's deck, being played by Gmo, and they can play it until the end of the next turn, which is pretty good. But being blocked out here by a wage ahead, I believe. So no damage being leaked on the starting turn here. Carlos with a fully blinged out Arakni setup with the playmat as well. But that's it. Just 1 card going to the graveyard for Carlos, being the infiltrate. The rest of the attacks were the daggers, and he arsenals and passes. Over to Gmo's Olympia. Don't really get to see much Olympia play, so it's going to be interesting to see how Gmo navigates this particular matchup and how he can really leverage the fact that every time he wins a wager, or the first time each of his attacks wins a wager, he gets a gold token. We have seen a recent card be printed with the, what was it called? Visit the Blacksmith or something, which pays off Olympia for having lots of different equipment in his sideboard. But Gmo also being blingy here with his Marvel Olympia, coming in with a cleave. That's going to cost him 1, so he's pitching a yellow, or a blue, sorry there, to come in with your next axe attack, gaining +4. And to note here, he is using the Decimator Great Axe, pitching another red with the 2 floating to satisfy that. And this is coming in for 8, this Decimator Great Axe, with the first time this is defended by a non-equipment card each turn, half the base defense of target defending card rounded up. So he can choose which card is halved in its defensive value after those blocks have been declared, which is pretty good. So it just makes blocking very, very ineffective, and we have seen the Decimator Great Axe used in one of the metas recently in Pro Tour. Not Pro Tour, sorry, the Calling. What am I talking about? The Calling in Warsaw. Lots of Decimators going around. Decimator Bolton, I believe, was in top 4. But so far, blocking with a Plunder the Paw and a Spike with Blood Rot, which I believe both block for 3. The boots are going to block for 1, and the mask is going to block for 1 as well. So 8 being blocked here, but as the Decimator Great Axe allows you to half one of these attacks. So I believe there's going to be some damage being leaked here, which is what they're insinuating. Plunder of the Paw would drop to a 2, I believe, because that blocks for 3. So he's going to be able to leak 1 damage onto Carlos. Both pieces of equipment being eaten up. Luckily they do have Battle Worn, so they're not going to die straight away, so we can still take advantage of the effects of the equipment. But a couple of cards going to the graveyard there for Carlos's block. And it's 18 playing 20 here, with tunic counter being put on the tunic there. And he's going to pitch a Codex of Frailty into what looks like the Nerve Scalpel as he hovers his finger over it. And it's going to be a Nerve Scalpel, yes. So attacking for just the 1. And obviously, the next time they defend with 1 or more reaction cards, they're going to have -1 while defending. I'm not sure if that really matters in this particular game, but Gmo on Olympia choosing to block with his prized Galea on this particular Nerve Scalpel. And then Carlos is going to follow up with a Leave No Witnesses, a great card which interacts with the arsenal, coming in for 4. So it does have a breakpoint on it. It's coming in for 4. Threatening the arsenal here and 4 damage. Well, it's the top card of the arsenal and... So top card of the deck and the arsenal here. When this hits, banish the top card of their deck and up to 1 card in their arsenal. So this could beckon a equipment block here. So it does use the Refraction Bolters and another Wage Ahead, I believe. Or Wage Might. Something wagering. But that is fully blocked. Blocked for 4. With a counter going on the Refraction Bolters and the prized Galea. So that's something that Carlos does have to consider. Is whittling that armour down, that fridge that warriors inherently have these days. So Olympia starting off with a yellow wage gold. It's going to cost him 3 to do that. And that's coming in for 6. And he is deciding to wager that gold with Carlos. So if this hits, he's going to be able to get 1 wage gold, 1 gold off of the wager, and 1 gold off of Olympia's ability. So he is blocking for 3 here on the spike with inertia. Oh, and we see an up the ante, one of Olympia's power cards, with X being 3 here. This is pretty big. So he's going to get all of the things. So X being 3 means he gets to choose X plus 1. So that's 4. Target attack wages and agility, target attack wages of gold, target attack wages of vigor, and target attack gains plus Y, where Y is the number of times this has wages. This is going to get plus 4, going up to 10, with 3 gold wages on the stack, and then 1 agility and 1 vigor. That is absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Very, very powerful play here by Olympia. And that's pretty much all Carlos can muster with the block, is the 3 up front initially. So he's going to be taking 7, and then Olympia is going to be triggering lots here. So he's going to get the 3 golds, agility and vigor, the absolute infinity stones of wagering. The block, of course, is going to go to graveyard, but Gmo is in a commanding position now, still on 20 life and a boatloads of tokens to bat. Carlos's tunic goes up to 3. Gmo just readjusting his pile of tokens here. And Carlos starting off with a Infect, which of course is a stealth attack, so it's going to get Go Again from the result of Arakni's inherent innate ability. So this is a 3 Go Again attack at the moment, costing nothing to play. And if this hits, it creates a Bloodrot Pox under Olympia's control. So effectively, over the course of 2 phases, it's a 0 for 5 in this Arakni deck. So pretty good rate. And of course, Gmo just deciding what he wants to do with this raw 3, potentially 5, depending on whether that 5, whether that Bloodrot comes back to haunt him. Looks like they're just going to take it to the face here, going down to 17 and getting a Bloodrot Pox from the Infect. And Carlos, of course, can follow this up with some daggers, maybe another attack. And he's pitching a Virulent Touch, I believe, or something, into a Death Touch from Arsenal, coming in for 6. This is a fantastic card. Can't be played from hand. But if it hits, it creates a Frailty, Inertia, or Bloodrot Pox under the opponent's control, and it only costs 1 to play, but obviously it does have the caveat that you do have to have it in your arsenal to play it. But Carlos has managed to navigate that, so coming in for 6 here, which will level the life totals if it goes unblocked, but it does also have the ability to create a token which disrupts the opponent in some regard. Of course, Olympia is going to be popping off next turn, so I imagine he's probably just going to take this to the face. Olympia, of course, having a lot of reactions, having a lot of, you need to block this, or I'm just going to accrue value over time with the wages. And yeah, we don't really get to see Olympia really function at the moment in Classic Constructed, but Blitz could be a different story here. Gmo just checking his Galea's ability, by the looks of it here. Staring down a 6 Death Touch, which can create a myriad of different plagues. Only one can be chosen, of course, but still a myriad. And Carlos, in response to the attack, is going to destroy this Death Touch. Sorry, destroy the Black Tech Whisperers. And give the Death Touch target assassin attack gains when this hits, it gains go again. So he is going to be able to, after blocks have been declared, decide to give this go again at instant speed or reaction speed. And as a result, Olympia is going to be taking 6 to the face and getting a Blood Rot Pox, I believe. I imagine Carlos is probably just going to be going for damage at this point. It's Blitz after all. It's a race most of the time. Unless you're playing some form of Guardian life gain list, which you might see in the future. So that's being followed on with a Plunder the Poor, coming in for 4. That rhymed. Fantastic. Plunder the Poor, coming in for 4. And that is simply going to be blocked by the Grains and the Braveforge Bracers to fully block out that damage. And the on-hit, 2 battle-worn counters being put onto the equipment now as well. So all of the equipment here has been slashed at by Carlos. Drawing up to 4 and passing the turn over to Gmo. All of his stuff is going to crack, so agility and vigor are going to crack, so he's going to get a resource. His first attack's going to get go again, and he's going to have 3 golds to play with if he needs to filter his hand to some degree. So lots of things going on here. He does have to remember that he does have 2 Blood Rots to pay for at the end of his turn. But he's going to be swinging the axe, pitching a blue, which will remain 1 floating from the vigor, so that's still going to carry over. Coming in for 4 with the Great Axe. A very costly weapon to swing, but at the same time a very awkward attack to defend. If you want to defend, that is. Carl's just thinking about what he wants to do here. And he is deciding to take 4. Looks like there's no reactions or anything over the top here. And he's going to be using the one that he had floating to pay into the Grains of Blood Spill. So that Vigor token is just going to carry over now. But of course, that Decimated Great Axe did have go again, so he's now going to play a Wage Agility, which is coming in for 7. And he is wagering the agility as well, so if this hits, he does get another agility token, so interesting. There comes a point where the opponent's not going to want to block, they're not going to want to give up tempo, so you are going to get those hits, you are going to get those agilities, you are going to get those golds from Olympia's ability as well. And of course this is the first wager we've seen on this turn, which means that if this does hit and the wager goes through, he's going to generate another gold from Olympia's ability as well, which is pretty good. He's getting rich. That's the aim of the game in the arena. And we can see Carlos here blocking with a Prowl and a Spike with Inertia, which I believe both block for 3, so one probably still going to go through, unless we see some shenanigans, or maybe an equipment block. Does Flick Knives block? I think it does, doesn't it? So he could cover it up if he wanted to. Tunic is on 3 at the moment, so we could see a Tunic activation next turn. Yep, but he's going to take 1 damage, and of course we are going to see an Olympia trigger here, getting him a gold, and getting the agility off of the wage agility itself. And then he's just going to Arsenal and take 4 damage from the Blood Rot Pox. So that Blood Rot Pox really getting the most value, Carlos getting the most value out of those Blood Rots, Gmo not choosing to pay for them. Now, obviously Warriors and Assassins do have a lot of reaction speed shenanigans, so this could be anybody's game still. Reaction step. But this is a Sedate coming in here for 0 for 3. Of course, it has stealth, so it's going to have go again from Arakni's ability. And if this hits, they create inertia under their control. So Arsenal is going to be going under the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn. But it is going to be blocked out by a wage ahead, or some form of wager card there that I can't see. And then he's going to follow that Sedate up with a Codex of Frailty, which is pretty good. He does have the Tunic available, so he can get back the Death Touch and play out the Death Touch for a pretty efficient attack. And of course, he's going to be replacing his arsenal as well with the Ponder, which is generated off the... And he is going for the Death Touch, and rightly so. And that's going to be placed face down. And then I imagine he's going to be using the Tunic trigger, here we go, to come in with the Death Touch for 6. Probably going to be representing a Blood Rot Pox on the end of this as well if it goes through. But yeah, Death Touch always a great target, very, very good. Off of a Tunic line there. Gmo just trying to figure some stuff out here. He's obviously got a Frailty on his next turn, which is going to debuff his weapon attacks and any attacks he plays from Arsenal. But he still has a Vigour and an Agility carrying over into next turn. So he is going to be blocking with the whole Fridge here. The Fridge and a 3 block is going to be blocking out the 6. And this could very much be what wins him the game here. This Fridge block. So late in the game. The Fridge still active here for Warriors. And... that's it. 1 card from hand. The rest of the equipment probably will not be used in this game now. The Grains of Bloodspill getting destroyed, as well as the Galea. So very much Gmo, the Olympia player, is now bare-chested, hair flowing, very much in the Olympia pose, as displayed in the top right corner of your screen. No helmet, no armour, just greaves and boots, as Achilles intended. Anyway, the Vigor's going to pop here. And of course the Agility popped as well, so the first attack will get go again. And starting off with a Wage Vigor coming in for 7. Pitching a blue, so obviously the Vigor token is still floating after this. And of course he is going to wager it as well. Confident that this will hit Carlos for the Vigor token afterwards. And of course, 7 is higher than 6, which means that Carlos does have to block in some capacity to survive. Now, of course, at this point in the game as well, we do know that there are reactions flying around on each side. We've seen Carlos block with a few spikes. We know Gmo and Olympia in general does have access to things like Up the Ante. We do know these things exist. So this could be it if such thing is represented. 3 currently blocking 7, which means that he will survive on 2 if he takes 4 damage from this. I think that's correct anyway. Yes, he would take 4 and go to 2 currently. Gmo just skimming through his deck, probably at the request of Carlos, to understand how many attack reactions there are, or attack reactions that he has seen so far. And I believe the only attack reaction we've seen is the up the ante that we saw earlier, which gave him that boatload of tokens as we saw. So I think he's just evaluating the potential chances of dying in the reaction step here to one of Gmo's attack reactions, and Gmo just showing off the up the ante there. Fantastic artwork, fantastic card in general for this deck. But Carlos very much at the mercy of Gmo here, if he has a reaction. And there it is. Take the upper hand to win the game, pumping it up to 10 to 3, sees Carlos take 7 damage. GG's.